Um, 11, secondary school students achieve broad mastery of the curriculum if they are taught with methods appropriate to their learning styles and they devote significant effort to their studies. Thus, if such broad mastery is not achieved by the students in a particular secondary school, those students are not being taught with methods appropriate to their teaching styles.
All right, so what do you do now?
I did a quick like diagram for this one. Actually was shocked that I got this one wrong. Um,
Okay, well,
so
what do you do before you diagram?
um, find the conclusion.
Yes. What's our conclusion?
So the conclusion is if such broad mastery is not achieved by those, yeah, that they're not being taught.
Awesome. And then, so how did you diagram this one?
So I just did if taught with methods appropriate and devote significant effort, then they achieve broad mastery.
So if they're taught with I'm going to say appropriate methods. If they're taught with appropriate methods and they devote significant effort, then they achieve broad mastery. Excellent. Okay. And then what about the second one?
So the second one, honestly, I didn't diagram the second one. I just kind of like looked at my original diagram. But if we were to do it, would be like if if not broad mastery, then not AM. If not BM, then not AM would be the conclusion.
Those students are not taught with methods appropriate. Yes. So why is this one not sufficient?
Because we're not talking about the effort. So
yeah, what about the effort?
They're not saying in the conclusion anything about whether the children are putting in effort or not.
Right. So we're saying that broad mastery didn't happen, therefore it must have been that there wasn't appropriate methods, but really it could have been the significant effort that caused it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what kind of question is this?
The conclusion can be probably drawn if assumed a necessary assumption sufficient.
Sufficient. Why is it sufficient?
Is if assumed or
yep, if has an F instead of sufficient. So if assumed. So what is our goal of a sufficient assumption question?
We want to find like the missing link, how the conclusion can be true.
Yeah, we want to find an answer. These are like super strengthened questions, right? We want to guarantee this conclusion. So what did you predict here for what would guarantee that if broad mastery didn't happen, that it must have been because the appropriate methods weren't used?
I was looking for something about the effort. So if
like
we
everybody gave significant effort, right?
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
if that's true, then we know it was because there wasn't appropriate methods used.
Yeah.
All right, so go ahead and start with A.
A, as long as secondary school students are taught with methods appropriate to their learning styles, they will devote significant effort to their studies. So that does bridge that gap.
All right, let's keep going.
B, even if secondary school students are taught with methods appropriate to their learning styles, they will not achieve broad mastery of the curriculum if they do not devote significant effort to their studies. I think the way they're wording these answer choices is what's confusing me. Even if secondary students are taught. I'm not gonna choose that one. I'm just gonna keep reading.
Yeah, so okay,
C.
so B is wrong because it's saying if they are taught with appropriate methods, they're not going to achieve it if they don't develop. Like, we already know this. This is what our stimulus is saying. We're trying to guarantee our conclusion that the reason that if it's not achieved, it's because we weren't using methods appropriate. B doesn't
Okay.
help us get us there at all. All right, C.
Secondary school students do not achieve broad mastery of the curriculum if they are not taught with methods appropriate to their learning styles. That doesn't talk about the effort, so I wouldn't choose that one. Secondary
Okay,
school
so
students.
what C says is, yeah, you're right. But this one says if they are not taught with methods appropriate, so if we don't have appropriate methods, then we know for sure that there's not broad mastery. But the issue here is we don't know. We're saying that we don't know if we have appropriate methods or not. We're trying to prove that there's not appropriate methods, right? Awesome.
D, teaching secondary school students with methods appropriate to their learning styles does not always result in broad mastery. I wouldn't choose that one because again,
Yeah, like, who
they're
cares,
not
right?
telling me about the effort. E, secondary school students who devote significant effort to their studies do not always achieve broad mastery of the curriculum. So this one is telling me that so I probably wouldn't choose this one because it's saying secondary school students who devote significant efforts do not always achieve broad mastery.
Yeah. Like, we're like, okay, just because students that do this don't always achieve broad mastery, it's like, yeah, we know that because maybe they don't have appropriate methods, right?
Yes.
But that doesn't help us prove that the reason that these students at this particular school have not achieved broad mastery is because they don't have appropriate methods. So A tells us as long as students are taught with appropriate methods, so if they have appropriate methods, they will have significant effort to their learning.
Oh, so it's kind of like taking away that second one. Like
If you don't,
they definitely are doing this, so then it must be the other thing.
yeah, so if we don't have significant
Okay.
effort, that means that we don't have AM, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't have AM, well, that's what we're trying to prove. So
Yeah.
that's why 11 is A.